Today we have the lovely Titi. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So, quick backstory. You want to tell everybody how we met?
I'll let you tell it.
Okay. So, I was sent on an errand, and Titi was asked to accompany me. She was new to the family, but kind of not new to the family, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we go, and we've never really had a full conversation prior to that. That was probably the first time me and you ever actually spoke words other than like hi and bye type thing. Right. But when we went, I kind of didn't know what to think with TT, and she kind of didn't know what to think with me because you thought I was mean.
Yeah, kind of. We just never really spoke. That's all it was.
So we spoke that day, and the rest is history. We've been friends for over 20 years. Damn. Right? We get old. Over 20 years. She's actually my son's godmother. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about stillness and what it is to go within as opposed to being out. When do you feel like you began to know yourself?
Age-wise, you mean?
Age-wise, experience, like when did you start to get to know who TT was?
I would say like early 30s, I think. I feel like heartbreak kind of put me in that space, I would say, and being in my solitude in that time frame.
What does your solitude look like?
I'm alone. Literally, like, alone. I'm music. I'm in my thoughts. I'm no TV. I'm reading. All that kind of stuff.
What's your go-to music?
Anything, honestly. Like, I don't really have a favorite. It depends on what mood I'm in. You know what I mean? Like, 90s R&B will always be it. Always. Like,
clearly.
That will always be it because there's so much meaning and, like, moral and, like, lesson
it was different back then. Like, they actually put intentions into the words. Now it's kind of just like, what's the bop? What everybody's trying to, like, catch a vibe to. So it definitely is different. Within your solitude and getting to know yourself, what do you feel like pushed you into that aside from heartbreak? Like, did you ever go on a quest like, who am I? What am I doing here? What's my purpose on life?
Not really. No, I don't think so. Like, I feel like I come from a strong background, so it's kind of like I've had a pretty good foundation to know what I kind of need to be, but it's just finding my niche, like what I'm into kind of thing. So I don't think like anything necessarily pushed me because I have great examples around me. So it's kind of like just finding who I am outside of them. Like, I don't want to be y'all. I want to be myself. You know what I mean? So figuring that out. So I don't think anything necessarily like pushed me into it. Is just, it's that time where you need to figure out what you're gonna do in life, so get it together and figure it out. You know, like, you go to high school, you finish, you go to college if you're gonna go to college. All right, so what do I want to do in life forever? That kind of thing. Like, nothing necessarily pushed me there. And even then, when I kind of figured it out, now that I'm my age is kind of like, maybe I want to do something else. You know what I mean? Like, you find a different space. So what you think you wanted to be into, you might not necessarily want to be into.
I feel like when you go into stillness, it kind of pushes you to figure out, obviously, who you are, but then who your friends are also. Because in stillness, you lose a lot of people. Like, more recently, I just said my circle became a dot. And I was okay with that because at that point, it's just like everybody can't go or everybody's not on the same path. And I shouldn't have to explain that. I don't want to validate that. Like, I just want to be myself. So with losing friends, how comfortable are you with that?
1,000% comfortable. Like, my solitude made me okay with that. So I found that out in my solitude. You know what I mean? Like, knowing that it's okay to only have a few, so long as they solid, you good. Like,
even like coming from my family, there wasn't that much structure. Like, people were living in survival for a long time, and it took me for now to figure that out. Like, they were just trying to get by. They didn't really see past tomorrow, if they even made it to tomorrow. So for me, it's just like, okay, I want to do something a little bit different, which requires me to go within. I did lose a lot of friends, but I don't even say it's a loss of friends. I feel like everything happens for a reason. But when you're on a certain journey, it's either the people that get it, and if you don't, you don't. And there's no hard feelings. It's nothing personal, but we're just not on that same path, and that's okay. But my family, I feel like now my generation, because I have a bunch of older first cousins, we're just now starting to break away from that old traditional type of thing. Like, everybody's finding their own way, everybody's doing their own thing. I might make mistakes along the way, but I'm gonna figure it out at some point. Do you read? You mentioned that you did read earlier.
It has to be something I'm really into.
Okay, because I was gonna ask, like, what type of books do you like to read?
No real type. Like, I'm into Yana Van Zandt. I like her a lot. I feel like she gets you through some rough times, and I also feel like I like her because of her experiences. Like, you could try to tell me whatever you want that you feel I'm gonna be like, give me the great advice. But someone who went through it, nah. I could literally, everything you saying, I believe you because you went through it.
Right.
Like, and I feel like that's why
she definitely gonna get somebody together though.
As she should.
Real.
That's the hardest part. I feel like telling somebody about themselves is very, very difficult, but I also feel like telling somebody about yourself is very difficult. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, me telling
you're almost
you
more receptive to it. Because it's just like, okay, now it's not coming from a place of judgment. You're coming from a place of, I experienced this and this is what helped me. Let me share it with you. It might help you. Yeah. I think for me, the person is Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Or maybe I did. I just don't know.
Bishop Jakes' daughter. Yeah. She also had a child young.
I heard of it.
And for her to be a preacher's kid, you know, that's something that was kind of like...
It happens a lot.
All
as much as they try to make it seem like
but the way she bounced back and the way she was able to, like, really make an impact with her life, I love her. Like, I watch her sermons all the time. And what gets me also is, like, a lot of people are scared to talk about God. We would not be here without a higher power. That just goes without saying. But she does it in a way that makes it relatable. Like, we're not expected to be perfect. We're human beings. That's God's job. He has the power of that. But at the same time, it's so relatable because you don't have to be a certain type or fit into a certain category to praise God or to worship. Like, it's who you are. I could be dancing and getting crazy, and then a gospel song come on, and I'm going to stop and praise Jesus. Like, it just goes hand in hand. Within Stillness, there are times where it's pretty much like a dark place. You're doing self-inventory. You're trying to check what stays, what goes. But if you're not careful, it could get dark and it could get really hard to push past that. I feel like there were times where I tried to push past the darkness, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it did get the best of me. I didn't want to get up out of bed. I wouldn't eat. I lost my appetite. Certain things that knock you down, like all the way down. How do you deal with those hard times? Like, what makes you say, you know what, I'm going to still fight past it?
Because there's nobody else that's going to do it for me but me. Like, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be upset, or I'm going to just be crying, or whatever the situation is, or whatever phase I'm in. And then what? Who's going to come pick me up?
Do you allow yourself to go through that, though?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The ugly parts?
Yeah, absolutely. More now than I did before.
Yeah.
I've always been this tough. And maybe it's because we're from Brooklyn.
Probably. I was going to say,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll figure it out. It's like, fine.
I'm going to make it work. Like, but you have to figure it out. If you don't, who will? You understand? Like, there's nobody to bounce back on. You understand? Like, so.
Before I used to, like, obviously I was like a super crybaby. I wore my heart on my sleeve and I didn't apologize for it. But going through so many experiences, it was like, okay, now I can't do that because now I'm viewed as a weakness. I remember down to the point where, like, I didn't even allow myself, and you were there, I didn't even allow myself to cry during childbirth. Like, I did not want to be viewed as weak. Like, I refused. And I think that kind of, like, gave me that hard edge where now it's kind of like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be tough. I'm going to figure it out. I could be dying on the inside. And I wouldn't. But more so now is like, I'm allowed to feel that. I'm human. I'm not a machine. I have feelings. I don't want to keep them bottled up. That shit is going to come out at some point. Yeah. Now I'm safe in a space where I can feel that. But I do only allow myself a day. Like, if I'm going through it, I'll go through it. I could cry my heart out. you got a day to get over this. Because tomorrow, we can't still be here in this spot. Like, you gotta get past it.
What do you think created that giving yourself a day?
Finding out that I had to give myself grace.
Okay.
Like, I'm not perfect. I don't want to be. I'm not trying to be. Like, that's just the reality of it. But giving myself grace, I'm human. Like, we go through things. I'm allowed to, like, feel how I feel and not ignore it. Because I feel like for a long time, I bottled it up. And I was, like, at the cap. Like, I was about to explode. And I think that actually happened prior to COVID. Like, right when COVID hit, I was already at, like, my highest. I couldn't take it no more. It was about to get the hell out of me. Like, I was up at 4:00 in the morning, running around, trying to get Noah to school, like all of those things. So for me, it's just like, if I don't slow down, this is gonna eat me up. And then what? Like you said, like, how am I gonna do what I have to do? Who's gonna take care of my child? How am I gonna still, like, push past? Because I have goals in life. It's not like I was at my point where I was just like, okay, I'm happy, I'm settled, I'm okay with life. Like, I had to give myself grace, because if not, I probably would have had a nervous breakdown. Probably would have, like, you would have been coming to see me at Bellevue. Or bailing me out somewhere. Like, it gets hard.
And we always talk about bailing each other out, because that's our normal route. But we are changed people.
That's gross.
It is.
That's real growth. So, like, the point where I be like, Titi, I'm pulling up. You got 10 minutes. Get dressed. I'm on my way. And you don't ask
even know what's
questions. But she was dressed, though. Each and every time, it was just like,
as I should be,
I'm at the door.
As I should be. You have to have those solid people in your circle that don't ask any questions. Yeah. Because they know, like, whatever it is, she wouldn't put me in a bad situation, but she needs me, so I'm there. Like, that's just how it should be.
I might. God forbid. Listen. But if we do, we're going in it with, like, wholehearted, like, peace and wellness.
But see, like, fighting is not a bad situation. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? It's what you need to do in that moment. So you got to do what you got to do.
And it probably calls for it. Because I'm not
Sometimes you got to whoop some ass. 24 hours, though, I find that to be, like, a little, like, that's a little
You think
rough.
That's too hard?
Yeah. Because depending on the situation, one day is not enough. Because, all right, let's think about this for a second. You have a situation that causes you some sort of anxiety, right? Whatever it is. And you go to sleep, you wake up, right? Because you're going to sleep and you're forgetting about your problems in that moment. And then you wake up and boom, you remember it again, which creates an emotion that creates maybe anxiety, that creates whatever. Like, how do you wake up every day and say, all right, well, now it's 24 hours, so I can't wake up with that? You know what I mean? Like,
honestly, I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth. I think it's because I did a lot of shadow work. Okay. Like, I remember at one point I went through my phone and I, like, read old text messages because I wasn't happy in my life. Okay. Not having to do with anyone else. I was just like, what am I doing that I'm getting myself in these situations that I'm still not feeling fulfilled in life? So I did a lot of shadow work, and I had to, one, take accountability for a lot of the things that I've done. Because, you know, it's easy to just be like, somebody did something to me. But what did you contribute to that? Because nobody just does anything. I mean, you do have those who react are the way they are. But for the most part, I was just like, okay, why do I keep finding myself in these situations? So I had to do a lot of shadow work. I had to take a lot of account. I was mean. Like, I like to say now, I'm not like I'm a sweetheart, I'm like a Care Bear, but I was mean as hell. But mean and carrying trauma.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So for me, it was just like, nope, shut down. I don't care. I'll cut you off in a heartbeat. We'll never speak again.
See,
like,
not to cut you off, but I don't think you were mean. Because you gave people lots of... Right, but you gave... Even the people that you were around that you were mean to, you gave people a lot of chances. Before you got mean, you weren't mean. So I don't think you were mean. You understand what I'm saying? Like, at that point, you protected yourself.
Definitely. So that was like my defense mechanism. I'll immediately shut down. I don't want to talk about it. But that was eating me up inside because I had so much... You know that. I still hold it down. 98%. Very much so. Like, I still keep a lot of things to myself, but at some point I was just like, you know what, I can't do this no more. Like, I gotta let this out and I gotta figure out my way. So in doing that shadow work, I was able to say, you know what, there's some things within myself that I need to change. Okay. Like I can't change anyone else, but I could change how I respond to things. So I think now that I've done that, I don't carry as much anger and hurt inside. I don't look at things as if it's happening to me. I think it's happening for me. Okay. There's a lesson to be learned in every single thing that happens in your life. But if you look at the why me, is you are gonna wake up day after day after day and be like, well, what the hell? Like, let's say God forbid somebody passes away. It hurts. It hurts deeply. But what can I do about that? We already know we're on borrowed time. Nobody's guaranteed to be here forever. Mm-hmm. So even though I love you and I want to be with you and I want you around forever, I know that we're all gonna die one day, and we have to be okay with that. So I think now when I look at it, is if God forbid somebody does pass away, it hurts in the moment, and it's gonna hurt probably for the rest of my life, but I'm not gonna let myself drown in it. Gotcha. So that's what I mean by like I give it 24 hours. If it's something small, how I respond or react to it today, I'm not gonna respond and react to it the same way tomorrow. Like I give myself that time. With tomorrow, I might still be upset, but I'm not as mad. I'm not ready to just go off the hinges and wild out. Like I think I grew in that aspect of life. It wasn't easy.
I can imagine.
It's hard.
Especially since you're like, not an introvert, but you don't really talk about your emotions as much. Yeah. Only with like people like me. Yeah. And even then, like, I'm sure I don't know every single thing.
And even that, I just wanted to say too, like, in solitude, you find peace within yourself. Because a lot of people don't like to sit with themselves. It's true. They don't want to face anything that they've done. They're always the victim. You know, it's everyone else and not them. Within that, we don't speak every day. No. But whenever we do pick up the phone, it's like we never left off. Yeah, that's true. Some people can't handle that. How did you become comfortable with that? Like, were you the type to always be with friends? Because we used to always be in groups.
When we were younger. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, being young, that's all you want to do. You don't have much responsibility. Right. But as you get older, you have things to do. You got bills you got to pay. You got to work. And I'm tired. Like, hello. It's a different type of tired. And it's different because you're a mom now. So you have a lot of responsibilities. And it's like, we'll get up when the time is right. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we have times where we're supposed to and we forget because life just happens and it's okay. But we understand that about each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're a friend, your family.
A lot of people don't, though. A lot of people take that really personal.
But, I mean, you just got to understand that. Like, you got to understand me as a person, and I have to understand you as a person. We have to understand each other to know that it's not personal. You understand? Like, I can't be mad at you every time because you have something to do. Like, things come up. It's all right. Cool. So, we're going to reschedule? All right, bet.
It could be that simple. Instead of hopping on like, oh, I can't believe you, and it could be really simple. Yeah, like for me, it's all about perspective. How when you know somebody, like you said, you know, like it's not coming from a bad place. There's no ill intent. Like it's genuine. Like things happen, things come up. Mm-hmm. That's a part of life. Some people are not ready to sit with that, and I wish a lot of people would start to work on those things. Like it's hard so many people. It is hard. Like so many people walk around with like this big chip on their shoulder, and I'm not saying that life is easy. I'm not saying that their feelings are invalid. But if you would just take the time to work on things, you wouldn't be as responsive, like to snap the minute something happens.
See, but that I think a lot of that stems from past things, traumas, whatever it is. Like everybody has their reason why they react to certain things in general. So it's like you might be snappy because maybe when you were younger, your moms used to snap at you. So that's all you know. It's crazy how you replicate behavior as much as you don't want to. Like, you ever hear people say, like, I can't stand my mother, and you realize, you're becoming your mother. Yeah. Like, your behaviors is just identical, but you don't realize it.
That's what I always say. Like, people always say, you're a product of your environment. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that to a certain extent. Right, like, at some point, you kind of, like, got to raise yourself. Because you know how that path ends. You know where that's going. You already been there, done that, seen it, got the t-shirt. But at some point, you got to kind of raise yourself to be like, you know what? I kind of don't want to go down that road. Mm-hmm. It could be scary. You don't know the proper steps to take, but you got to do something, or else you're gonna end up in those situations that you don't want to be in.
That's very true. Especially coming from where we come from.
It's hard. It is. Brooklyn, New York, period, will eat you up and spit you out in a heartbeat if you let it.
That's true.
Especially growing up in the East.
I was just about to say that, and we from East New York. Like, it's different. Like, there's documentaries on where we're from. Like, but we didn't become proud of. Like, we're gonna always be Brooklyn, solid Brooklyn. But we've done lots of things, and lots of people from where we're from have been successful in many ways and done many things. So
that was a conversation we actually had.
Big facts.
Brooklyn is definitely on the map. It's changing now.
Yes,
it's a lot more diverse.
In a way I don't like, but that's another.
What don't you like about it?
I feel like Brooklyn is losing its culture. Like, I feel like the people who've created Brooklyn are now being put out of Brooklyn. Like, they made this place who it is. Like, why aren't these people like grandfathered in to be able to stay here? Like, why is it that this lady who has a regular income, let's say, like, you know, based off whatever she retired with, can't even afford to live in the only city she's ever known or he's ever known? Like, why are we pushing? Like, something has to be put into place to let them be able to stay. I'd be damned if I gotta leave my city. Like,
it's about New York is now like one of the most expensive places.
It's ridiculous. For what though?
It's tied with Singapore.
Okay.
I can't wrap my head around it because have you looked at Singapore?
No, never.
It's amazing. Yeah. Like, you would think you're in a whole different world. I mean, obviously you are, but compared to New York, where you get a box for a closet, a box for a room.
This is a whole apartment right here.
This is it.
Like,
and you gotta pay like $2,200,
for what?
$2,500
for
what?
That. It's greed, and greed is ugly. Like, I can't. New York is just.
Isn't
I love
one of the
where
deadliest sins.
Say that again.
Greed.
Girl,
one of the 7 deadly sins.
I believe so.
It should probably be like number 1. The money comes before everything, before a person.
Money is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, it's powerful in its own way, but at the same time, it could take a hold of you.
But you know what's funny? I was just having this conversation with someone else, and I was like, it's crazy how money makes people crazy, but when you die, it doesn't go with you. So why is it such a priority for so many people? You understand? Like, you want to live this life of being flashy or whatever it is. However you look at money, and then when you die, guess what? None of it comes with you. Nothing. Yeah. You could put it in your casket, and guess what? You're not going to be able to touch it. You're dead.
I actually just read that Celia Cruz was banned from going back to Cuba, where she was originally from. And then after years and years and years passed, she was finally invited back. And when she went, she got a bag of dirt from Cuba, and she brought it back to the U.S. with her. When she passed, it was in her will that the dirt had to go in her casket with her. Aww. Like, her soil, like where she's from. I'll take Brooklyn with me wherever I go. Like, Brooklyn is in my veins. If I could wrap it up in a bottle and take it with me, I probably would.
Everywhere you go, right?
But now it's different. It's not the same as it used to be. What would you like to see happen in Brooklyn? Or New York, for that matter?
Just affordability coming to, like, let's not be hype about New York. Let's be realistic about New York. Like, it's like, I'm so passionate about this whole gentrification and things like being too expensive, and I don't like the thought of it. I don't like the thought of there being a possibility that I can't live in my own city. Like, luckily I'm gonna inherit a house that my parents purchased, but outside of that, like, if I were like a renter, like, I would leave. I would leave my city. This is the only city I've ever known.
That's something I also struggle with. I don't want to leave New York, but I'm also at a place where I want to leave New York.
Me too.
Like, I love where I'm from, but I can't raise my child here.
Where is it at?
It's scary. I don't know if it's, obviously it's outside things that I can't control, but at the same time, it's just like, it's kids raising kids. Their mindset is not where it's supposed to be. They're so focused on the wrong things. Everybody has an op. What happened? Like, you have kids that are not even making it to 16. They're dying young. Like, that's younger and younger and younger. And it's like, with all this drill music, that's the thing to do now. Like, everybody has to have an op. It's almost like, you don't have an op, you doing something wrong. Like, you need one. And it's just like, well, why I can't? I don't want to have one. Like, it's okay. But just the way you can be dressed, just how you look, just you standing there might bother somebody. And now a group of people are coming like, I'm raising a son.
Yep.
He's growing to be a young man.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
Especially like everything from a collectively.
It's scary as hell. And at that point, I'm kind of thinking about leaving New York. Like, my heart and soul is here, but I'm just like, okay, is it worth it?
I always call this era the era of the kids that had kids. That's exactly where we're at. That's where we're at right now. Like, the kids that didn't have much, like, foundation, or, like, not to say that every kid was like that, but a vast majority of them was like, yeah, you were that little kid that had a kid that your mom had you when you were young. You know what I mean? And it was just a generational thing, and the kids have no structure. Like,
I'm one of those.
See, but
we started out young. I had my son when I was 19. That's pretty young.
But
I had an old soul.
And not as young as these kids. Like, they're like 14.
I mean, that was happening 15, back in the day.
Like, yeah, that's true.
That was been going on since the beginning of the time. What's normal?
Having kids that young. Like, grandparents, like, that was the thing back then.
I still don't get why that was a thing. They were getting married and off with children at very young ages. But for me to have my son young, I didn't want to be that type of parent. It was just something in me that I was just like, okay, I'm going to do something different. Like, I'm going to purposely, like, I was on him hard with love, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't want it to be looked at as who's raising you. Like, when you go outside, carry yourself with respect. Treat people with respect. Act like you have a home that you come from that cares about you. Don't be out here just wilding and doing what you want. Like, even when I was growing up, I didn't curse.
Why do I feel like this is about to lead to a good story?
The way these kids talk, it's disgusting.
But we had that phase too.
I didn't have that phase. Not I know why, because I had a big ass family, and I was scared that somebody knew somebody and was going back to say Jeanette was doing so and so and so and so. Not me. But the way these kids talk now, they don't care who's around. They might curse an old lady out. Yep. Like, that could be somebody. That could be your grandmother. Where's the respect?
The kids that had kids.
It's the blind leading the blind, and nobody's doing anything about it. And it's almost like parents are now, and there's nothing wrong with being your child's friend. My son is my best friend. Like, I love him to death. We talk about everything, but at the same time, it's a line where it's just like, I'm still your mother first. So it's gonna be a level of respect here. We could talk, we could kiki, we could laugh, we could play, we could do all of that, but make sure you carry yourself with respect when you're talking to me, because something that I would like to see change in New York and really all around the world is, one, these kids have no faith. I don't know where it went wrong, or maybe they're, in faith behind closed doors, but like, now it's like almost not cool to talk about those type of things. Like, you're talking about God, or you're trying to be a preacher, or you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, and it's just like, but why we can't have this conversation? The same way we can sit around and talk about music, the same way we can sit around and talk about food, why we can't talk about God? Like, why doesn't it fit into what everybody is doing? It's like, it's not cool. That I would like to see change, and I would also like to see the school systems change.
What sense?
We're still learning about 1808. Somebody's art, somebody's tea party. Like, okay, great, that's cool. The kids are not being taught finances.
Oh man, I'm with you on that one. Why do we learn all this algebra and all that? Teach me how to save my money, please. Like,
X over Z minus 3 plus 4.
That you never used to get in life. Like,
okay, great, that's nice, right? Cool, there's a formula for that, and somebody can figure that out. But like, how is this gonna help me in real life? Especially when you're coming from the mud.
Yeah.
I could barely get home safely. You want me to worry about pi and Pythagorean theorem? And what does this have to do with what I'm doing in life? I mean, great, that does help certain people if that's the field that you want to go to, but majority of the kids don't. And then why is it you think people seek validation?
I think it's just the era that we're in. And maybe where they come from. and it's like everybody wants to be the it person. That's the era that we're in right now is who's the flyest, who got the nicest car, who's like in that sense.
So many people want to keep up with the Joneses when you just might be a Smith. Like, it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, concerned with what you have, what you got on, where you're going, what you drive. But that's not fulfilling them. Like, they're not happy at the end of the day because you constantly have to keep up with the next and the next and the next. You can never be content with what you have because somebody is doing one up on you.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think people seek validation for all the wrong reasons. One, it comes from insecurities.
Yeah.
Insecurities speak loud if you just stand still and listen.
That's a fact. Very true. Very, very true.
And I don't think people get it or even pay attention to it because then you start to like doubt yourself. You start comparing yourself to what other people are doing and you feel less than. When really that person morally is not even in a great space all the time.
Financially, probably not in a great space.
You're breaking the bank, trying to keep up with other people. With everybody else. It's hard.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's just like, what's the real reason that you're doing it for? Like, is it
to fit in?
Righteous? Like, I've never had a problem with being different. Like, keep me different. I don't mind that. I don't want to do whatever. Like, everybody looks like twins. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. No, I'm not knocking it. But now it's almost like if you're not doing what everyone's doing, you're the weird one.
That's true. I'll take weird, though. I'm good with that.
I'll be a great weirdo.
I'll be good with that. Because it's like, I don't want to be like everybody else. What's the point? Like, there's no separation.
Like, who's going to stand up and be the one to be a little different?
It's like zombies.
But then you have it to where it's almost like bullying. Like, let's say first of all, let's just put it out there. And I know it's a lot different for women than it is for boys, but like, a girl could have on a $20 outfit and make it look like something. Okay? Like, depending on how you accessorize it, how you dress it up, how you dress it down, you could look like something. But someone will come and say, oh, you got this from Target. Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
You want one?
Right. We would just remember when we were like, yo, Primark. I love me some Primark.
First of all, I love Primark.
What?
Primark hits. Like,
all the
you
time.
don't go
Never
and buy
fail.
everything from there, but like, you can find some good pieces there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's almost like, oh, I'm ashamed to say that. Like, Shein.
Yeah. I like Shein.
Great, cute things.
Yeah.
Super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's affordable. Like,
yeah.
Stay within your range. Don't go broke trying to keep up with people and then you crying about it behind closed doors. That's
people's problem. Everybody wants to be the it person.
Yeah.
Even if it breaks the bank. They'll go max out credit cards and do all those crazy things, but that's not... I'll take this cheap stuff with a pair of mics and call it a day. Like,
and nobody's going to be there to get you out that hole but you, though. Like, those same people that you were trying to keep up with, none of them are going to be there to help you.
That's true.
They're going to look at you like, oh, okay, now he's broke.
But you're trying to keep up with them for what? But a lot of people do that, though. I feel like every era has had that. Everybody wants to, everybody wants to be the it person. Everybody wants to be there. Like, unless you're okay with being different. Like, no, I'm good. Like, everybody has a phase. Like, I mean, every era has a phase where, oh, this was what was cool. That's what was cool. Things are, like, our cool was not as expensive as these kids' cool.
Kids are going to school with, like, Gucci, Amiri.
What? You better take these uptowns and be on your way. Like,
a pair of New Balance. You might get a pair of 5411s, but I will rock the shit out of them.
Right. But that's because that's the era we come from. You know what I mean? Like,
probably. Yeah.
It's just because to our parents, maybe what we had or like was expensive. You know? So
I get that. I mean, we had Jan Sports.
Yeah, mad strings on the zipper.
Lanyards, remember that?
I still got that.
You do?
Yes.
I was just having a conversation with Melissa the other day, and I was just like, I want to do like some lanyards, like the Twisted Cobra, the steps, the box, all of it. I want to get back to that, but I feel like a lot of kids. That's why I said I was thinking about moving out of New York. It's just because the childhood, like the nostalgia of it is gone.
That's true.
Like we used to get wet with the Johnny Pump. We used
Go
to
outside.
have water fights.
Going outside is not a thing.
Or if you are going outside, they're going outside for the wrong reasons.
For sure.
We had water fights. We played manhunt. We
Jump
played
double dutch. Like
double dutch.
Like that was what life
Skelly.
was all about. Yeah. But again, it's just the era. The eras are different. We didn't have technology like they have technology now. Like you were a lucky kid to have a computer in your house back in the day.
Remember dial-up?
Yes.
Where you couldn't be
what
on
was
the
the
phone.
LimeWire? Was it LimeWire?
First of all, I saw a video about that, and a mom was asking her daughter, like, "Can you burn me a CD?"
Oh,
and the daughter was like, "I'm not gonna do that. CDs are expensive." So I asked Noah. I was like, "Noah, can you burn me a CD?" And he was like, and I was like, "I'm gonna give you a list of music off LimeWire." And he was like,
"Ma, what you talking about?"
Right? Like remember when we used to have the stereo, and we would have to like stop and play with the from the radio, the cassette. I asked him if he knew what a cassette was, and he said yeah. Oh. So that part he did get, but like we couldn't be on the phone and on the internet at the same time. It was one or the other, and then you got kicked off at some point because it's just like, all right, enough is enough. I gotta make phone calls. Or the fact that your mother used to pick up one line and you were on the phone and they would hear the conversation, like. Who has house phones anymore?
That's true. I mean, my parents did. But...
Yeah, I think mine does too. But like, house phones are not even a thing.
That's true. Everybody
has a cell phone. Yeah. Remember, minutes used to be free. Call me after 9.
Yo, that's a story and a half.
Call me after 9. Listen. If you're not dying, call me after 9.
Them plans, they will never understand how expensive those plans were.
Remember the Gigapet?
Oh my god. I wasn't
like I used to take care of my pet. Like I was a good mom.
I wasn't.
You wasn't?
I wasn't into it.
So what were you into?
Not that. Like, I wasn't into that. I wasn't into Pokemon. Like somebody asked me the other day, "What's my favorite Pokemon?" Yeah. I was like, I was never.
The only one I can tell you is Pikachu.
I don't know none of them.
That's that. I mean, now anime is like coming back, so
yeah.
Which I will say, like. They have some good storylines, so I'm not even gonna lie. I watch it. And...
Bubba is on anime.
Really? Mm-hmm. Even him, he's so grown now. He's not even little. So like he's fully grown. Yes. But like that's the thing. I feel like kids don't have that anymore. Like if you tell a kid go outside and play Still the Bacon, they're gonna look at you like.
I feel like it stopped with Bubba's era because he used to go outside and ride his bike and be with his friends. Yeah. A
lot of kids don't even know how to ride bikes anymore. Remember we had the scooters and the mopeds? The electric scooter where you had to really put gas in it. I used to steal Eric's scooter all the time and run around town. That used to be fun. Or the bikes with the pegs on it.
Yes, I remember those. Somebody sit on the handles or somebody stand up on the back.
Bring that back.
Kids don't understand that fun stuff.
Or even a block party.
I feel like, there was a block party in my block this summer.
You lying.
I swear. It was barely anybody out there, but
they
had like a little bouncy house and the kids were jumping around. Like, it was cool.
When we had block parties. First of all, I used to dance.
I remember.
For the block parties. So, like, block parties is always my thing. But we used to have the speakers, like, big stacked up speakers on top of each other. Everybody and their mother was outside. Yeah. Everybody was cooking. Like, to have the street blocked off and to be able to play, it was just something about being able to play in the street. Because like, you know, you don't go in that street. It's like, I can cross the street now. I think I'm good. Like,
stand out there. And all
what? That used to be the fun part. But now, you kind of got to be careful. You can't go on certain blocks. Somebody might shoot it up. Like, everything is tainted now. And what do we have left? Like, what do we have to pass down to our kids?
You got to create new memories. And I feel like New York ain't it. Sadly.
Right?
That's so sad.
Like, I love my borough.
Yeah.
Like, we the only people that get to say our borough. Everybody else has cities and towns and neighborhoods, but, like, we have boroughs. Yeah. Like, our boroughs go to war against each other. Like, you from so-and-so, you're cool.
Even, like, within the same neighborhood, there's wars.
You know what I mean? Like, you from the East? You from Best Side? Right, like, you from Flatbush? Like... It's always gonna be that. I definitely want to see that change. We got to bring that back this summer. I definitely want to have, like, that's one of my goals is to have an amazing block party.
I can see it. And all the old schools, the
White
OGs
tees.
come back and do a dance routine.
First of all, I don't think I can do that anymore. But
just a little simple 1, 2, boom, boom. Like,
you gonna dance? Yeah.
I play the music.
Yeah. You're always trying to back out of it. Those used to be the times. But we're going to figure out something to bring it back because Brooklyn is an amazing place. Like, it's a lot to learn. It's a melting pot. We rub elbows with everybody. We never cared. That was the one thing. Like, we didn't care who you were, where you were from, what you came from, like, what you had. We were all friends on the block. Like, families were helping raise other families. Like, when you were outside, you knew your kid was safe.
Yeah. Because
so-and-so is outside and they watching your child. Mm-hmm. These days, we don't have that. Everybody's minding their business. And I get it. You never know what can happen. You might want to mind your business. But it takes a village.
It does.
And we need to rebuild our village.
It's going to be tough. Because the towns have changed drastically. Even visually, everywhere you turn, it's a freaking affordable building. That's from here to once they changed the zoning codes in the city, like everything changed. Like empty slots that we grew up, like empty little spaces that we grew up empty and playing in.
Remember
everything
the lot?
Is a lottery apartment now. Like
the lot was once
an
empty spot.
I drove past it.
It's something like, there now.
I know. Like this big.
There's no space on the block. Like everything is like crammed up on top of each other. Yep. Where are we going?
I remember I used to live on Warwick. What was that? New Lots and Hageman. And on that corner was a little gas station or like a car station back in the day. I don't remember exactly. I want to say it was like a car place, like some type of like
a car shop.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And there's like cribs all over there now. Like it was empty. I will never forget being scared to walk up the block because they used to have that like a big Rottweiler. And I used to be terrified. Like, oh my God, the dog. But the dog never did.
Yeah, even on Ashford, I walked past there not too long ago, and there was an empty lot that was like in the middle of the block. There's a building there now.
Everything is just
everything has changed. First of all, Ashford between Dumont and Livonia, if you know, you know. Gracie's store used to be on the corner. That's gone. That's an apartment now. Like they redid the whole building. Yeah.
I saw Lawrence Pharmacy for the first time in that long.
Is it still open? Yep. I don't think Lawrence is going anywhere.
Never.
I hope and pray that he doesn't, but I don't think Lawrence is going anywhere. Like he stood the test of time. He deserved that spot is his.
That's vintage. That's like antique. That should be like a damn landmark.
I was just about to say that should be a landmark. That should be able to go nowhere. So we thank you for sitting with us and catching up and reminiscing about Brooklyn, the good days, the bad days, solitude, going within yourself, not feeling bad for it. Is there anything you want to add to close out?
Stand up. Yeah.